but to create an atmosphere with a student coming, seeking knowledge for its own sake, under the canopy of a liberal education. And to do so, every school of thought had to have a place at the table where dialogue and disagreement were welcome. And at the secondary level, when he was thinking of you, he said, we must provide a level plane of inquiry so that student who wants to study and learn and yearns to go into the world to contribute must have all of the academic disciplines within arm's reach, and then can go forward as a clear and free thinker. And from whichever level of Jesuit education one comes, he must be afforded a clear, conscious view of his own opinions and judgments, because he has lived with the truth in developing them. He has learned how to express them. He has built a force in preparation of encouraging them in others. She sees things as they are. She can come right to the heart of the matter. She can disentangle a skein of thought by detecting what is relevant and rejecting what is not. He knows when to speak. He knows the value of silence. He knows the wisdom of listening. He can ask a question clearly and gain a lesson accordingly when he has nothing to impart himself. She can converse. She can bring to that conversation a sincere concern for the other's point of view. He has a mind that lives in itself while it lives in the world, with the capacity to entertain itself at home when it cannot go abroad. A mind that will serve her well in public and support her at her leisure. He is at home in any society, can find common ground with every class of people. She can accommodate herself to others by throwing herself into their frame of mind and bringing before them her own. He can be a pleasant companion to himself and a teammate or comrade others can depend upon, but with the self-discipline to never get in the way. How does one find access to all of this? It's not a lottery ticket. It's not an entitlement. It's not an inheritance. It simply is, as Newman put it, a gift. In your case, it's a gift from your parents, who sent you to Cheverus High School with a set of values already in place, in all their large and small pieces and parts. It's a gift from your classmates, in whom you have found a sense of self-worth that is similar to your own. It's a gift from your teachers, every one of whom, every day, focuses on your interest and your plans, and works hard at enhancing them. Let's put it this way. What are the odds that, had you been elsewhere for the last 4 years, that you would come in contact every day with a man with the gentility, the character, sincerity of a Hank St. Pierre, or a woman, a lady like Madame Campbell, or Suzanne Marr, Mary King, Marie Cross, guys like Jose and Swanee, John and Al, and Mr. Jim Ferris, Greg Scarlett. And these are not all of them Jesuits, but they think like Jesuits. They teach like Jesuits. Through the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius, they have prayed with you like Jesuits, and you with them. And therein, within that large array of multifaceted gifts, lies the authenticity of a Jesuit education. It is that same good fortune that our brothers from 1967 have cherished and have carried so nobly for over half a century, and have come home this weekend to acknowledge to Cheverus what their Jesuit education has meant to them, and to congratulate you on what you will hold in your hands tonight and in your souls forever. And join all of us in urging you to celebrate it. Celebrate it for as long as you can, but with this caveat, that you share it, that you share with others near and dear, others far and strangers to you now, but that you share it with tact, patience, kindness, and the nicest sense of personal honor for as long as you live. Because therein, within you, lies the validity of the authenticity of a Jesuit education. And now I would just, with your permission, take the last couple of minutes of my allotted time with you and tuck them right in here, next to my memories of you, and of that long purple and gold 100-year-old line that stretches out ahead of us and shows us the way. And save them for that night, 50 years from now, when you who are seated here will be sitting over there. Because by that time, we'll have some more stories for you and you for us. And in the meantime, we'll leave the light on for you.
Bishop Healy, Father Collins, Father Fagan, Mr. Haley, Mr. Dawson, Dr. Moran, Mr. Costigan, class of 1967, faculty, staff, friends and relatives of the class of 2017, and the young men and women of the class of 2017. Here we are at Merrill Auditorium. There are many great people whom I would like to thank for making my time at Cheverus enjoyable. Thank you, Peter and Lynn, for the constant love and support despite my blue-eyed stubbornness. Jip, Aggie, and Lanny for keeping me company. My closest friends, including those on the blacklist. The Outing Club for fueling my insatiable need for the outdoors. The sailing team for managing to be outstanding people on land, but always mediocre at best on the water. Homeroom 32, shout out to Swanee for all the donut parties. Theology 2 with Haskell, and all of the teachers, specifically Mrs. Ryle and Mr. Hartwell. Thank you, Mrs. Ryle, for informing me that in order to succeed in school, one must try. And for allowing my Dungeons & Dragons adventure to unfold in your classroom. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell, for helping me see the everyday miracles and for giving me a 17% on a test, but still telling me that it was A quality work. Now this evening may seem like a time to celebrate the grand achievement of graduating Cheverus High School, but you would be wrong in thinking that. For we are not defined by our high school diplomas. Instead, we are defined by our use and application of what we have learned over the past 4 years. Certainly this means something different to each and every one of us. A part of me does not want to remember our graduation night as an occasion during which we sat in lavish finery, exalted for achieving an arbitrary milestone, while 3 blocks to our west, hungry families are waiting in line to eat at the soup kitchen. I do not want to remember graduation as the time that I gave a speech about how wonderful the last 4 years were, how magnificent our class is, or oh, the places we'll go, while we leave our brothers and sisters, those in our backyards and neighborhoods, forgotten in our privilege. No, I want to remember our graduation night as the time that I reminded my classmates and all of those listening that obtaining our high school diploma is not something that we will be remembered for. Giving of ourselves is what Cheverus has prepared us to do, what the community expects us to accomplish, and should we succeed, what we will be remembered for. Graduating in and of itself is not worth the pomp and circumstance. It merely marks a transition from adolescent youth to post-adolescent youth. When we receive our diplomas this evening, we are not simply being rewarded for our accomplishment of graduating high school. We are accepting a responsibility to be men and women for and with others. It is by no mistake that we finish our time at Cheverus not with academics, but with service. The Cheverus community challenges us to apply what we have learned through the giving of ourselves. We are called to be Christ-like. Let it not be that we are graduating that defines us. Instead, let us be defined by our ability to set the world on fire. A special thanks to Barb.